Touch Balls 69 wrote a question.
No,
Ask what
I can't imagine. This is part of it. I mean, one way to solve this is, we got to get rid of anonymity. We got to get rid of anonymity.
Anonymity is one of the most controversial, hotly debated topics when it comes to internet free speech.
There's something cowardly about anonymous posting.
And you have lots of really smart people who argue that nobody should be allowed to be anonymous online.
I think anonymity creates this notion, it's like throwing water balloons from behind a car.
Cowardly keyboard warriors and anonymous trolls.
All because anonymous people on the internet.
But there's absolutely no evidence that anonymity is the underlying cause for problematic behavior online. In fact, I'm going to share a little bit of research that demonstrates how certain fully anonymous online communities have been beneficial in helping people recover from certain kinds of mental illnesses.
Now, they're endangered because we're moving towards social networking. We're moving towards persistent identity. We're moving towards a lack of privacy, really. We're sacrificing a lot of that. And I think in doing so, moving towards those things, we're losing something valuable.
Before we focus specifically on anonymity, let's go through a couple of the big studies about how social media affects us generally. In 2017, an organization out of the UK called the Royal Society for Public Health came out with a massive study about how social media affects us psychologically. They had some really alarming takeaways, like social media being more addictive than cigarettes. They linked the 70% increase in anxiety in the last 25 years to social media usage. But maybe most surprisingly, of all the social media apps that they studied, they found that Instagram had the most negative impact on people's mental health.
But why?
Now, obviously, if Instagram had no benefits, we wouldn't use it. So what you're seeing in this visualization is on the right-hand side are the positive aspects of Instagram usage as reported by people in this study, and on the left side are the negative consequences. In my first book, I write about Instagram as a superego network, one in which we manifest the ideal version of ourselves.
And it went
And I think that has a lot to do with the structure of Instagram. On Instagram, we are primarily connected to the friends that we know offline. We have this potential to reach out to a huge number of people that we don't know. We're one post away from going viral.
I want to be famous.
And so we tend to represent a really idealized version of ourselves. I think it's totally natural. If you give people a photo album, they're going to fill it with their highlights. So if all we're doing on Instagram is browsing through our friends' highlight reels, why does Instagram cause anxiety, depression, loneliness, body image issues, bullying, FOMO? To answer that question, I think you have to get deep into human psychology over the course of our evolutionary history. It's natural for us to go peek through our windows to observe our neighbors. What's not natural is for us to now have a window into our neighbors' lives 24 hours a day, and for us to only see their highlight reels.
Would you stop taking pictures of yourself? Your sister's going to jail.
Obviously, if we start to compare our full complex lives full of ups and downs and in-betweens to everybody else's highlight reel, no wonder we're feeling FOMO and anxious and depressed and lonely.
Can you be quiet? I'm filming right now. Ugh.
One of the most important factors in how a social network is going to impact us psychologically is not just what content do we see, but what's our relationship to that content. Nobody or very few people get depressed when they see generic stock photos of people on a beach. But apparently, if you just see all of your friends on vacation all the time, you might have some negative emotions to grapple with. And as counterintuitive as that may seem at first, I think it actually makes a lot of sense. Inevitably, when we're participating in an identity-based social network like Instagram, part of what we're doing is social representation. We're creating an online manifestation of who we are offline, and we're defining ourselves to our social groups. Now, that social representation and all of the negatives that come with it, the depression, the loneliness, the FOMO, those are by definition absent from anonymous social networks like Reddit or even 4chan, because the value that we derive from participating in those spaces is entirely different. In 2019, there was really interesting research into why people use Reddit as a platform. And one of the biggest reasons that people reported was discovery. Reddit was a place where they explored new topics and discovered new things. So although Instagram as a platform undoubtedly knows more about us as individuals than the Reddit platform does.
Actually, I've been watching you for 17 years. Through Facebook. Remember that time you went to the movies with Tina?
Identity-free space is more conducive to exploration because we don't have this sense that every single thing we engage with becomes a social badge that we wear to our friends. Following that logic, I think it makes total sense why one of the other main values that Redditors describe about the platform is the sense of belonging, the sense of genuine community that's able to form in these anonymous, interest-based groups. Now, following in our theme of counterintuitive results from psychology studies about social media, in 2017, the University of Utah actually published a study that showed that people who participated in Reddit communities like r/depression actually showed positive emotional changes over an 8-year study. There is very little research happening about the actual effects of anonymity online, and yet anonymity is scapegoated as the cause of so many of social media's underlying problems. Yes, anonymity comes with some risks, but whether we're making space for whistleblowers or allowing criticisms of our political leaders or discussing religion, any of the things that are difficult for us to discuss in identity-based social networks, I think anonymity is progress and it's worth protecting. I'm curious what you think, so please share in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video, subscribe for more internet philosophy.